Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my guest, my uncle, Andrew Barreto. And today we'll be covering the first round of the NFL draft. We'll get maybe a little bit into the second round. We'll also be covering the most recent NBA playoff games and update you guys all on the MLB standings so far. But to start us off, we are currently, right now, this is being recorded Friday, April 25th. It's day two of the draft. And the one of the biggest names of the draft, Shedeur Sanders, has not been picked. We are in almost the middle of the third round. We are at pick 82 just happened, and he has not been picked. Obviously, Sanders, one of the top quarterbacks of the class, was suspected to go maybe second, or was supposed to go top 10. And he had fallen last night. He had fallen out of the first round completely, and two quarterbacks were taken last night. And the first quarterback, obviously, first overall pick, Tennessee Titans. They needed a quarterback. They go out. They get Cam Ward from Miami. Obviously, there's a debate on who's the better quarterback, who's the most pro ready between him and Sanders. And many felt it was Ward. Ward is a really good quarterback. I mean, I saw a lot of him, a lot of his play this past season at Miami, and he looked great. I mean, he was very composed. He had a lot of poise in the pocket. He was able to scramble out, extend plays. He's got a great arm, great accuracy. And I could see why the Titans went this route. Obviously, they had a lot of options that they could have chose from, but they ended up going for the quarterback, and that's huge for them.
Yeah, it's a shocker for sure, right? They were talking about Sanders being, yeah, like you said, top pick. Well, at least a first rounder. Now he's dropping to the middle of the third round, and we're watching it as we speak. He may get drafted, while we're talking, but still not chosen yet. I do see the Steelers are on the clock, and maybe this is where they go ahead and get that quarterback. I know they filled other needs, but
Yeah, they
yeah, this indeed a shocker, and it looks like Tennessee Titans. That, from what I've heard, they're just really happy to have that first pick of Cameron Ward. And I know you mentioned the other quarterbacks. Who was the other one? Jackson Dart
yeah.
was.
Jackson Dart was picked later in the round. We'll get to him in a while. But yeah, no, like you said, Steelers are on the clock. They actually don't take Sanders. They take running back Caleb Johnson at pick 83. And yeah, like I said, Cam Ward, great fit for the Titans. He'll obviously be starting the quarterback day one. And the Browns started off the draft at pick two, right? They also in need of a quarterback. Um, although they did, yeah, they are in need of a quarterback with Deshaun Watson's injury and his bad play. But they traded back. They traded back with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They traded from the second pick to the fifth pick. Browns received, I believe, another second and first of next year or something. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it was a lot of picks. It was a pretty good deal for them to do that. So I mean, I think it was a smart move, and probably everyone's going to get be happy with that trade there. But yeah, it was already right off the bat, second pick. It was a blockbuster trade. It was a
yeah,
big deal, right?
the Jaguars are then on the clock, and they take it's arguably the best player in the draft, and Travis Hunter, the two-way player, the wide receiver, the corner from Colorado. Jacksonville goes out. They do. I probably wouldn't say he was wide receiver or corner was their biggest need. It was stated that they will have him in the wide receiver room to start, but he'll also be with the corners as well. Me personally, I don't know if they should have traded up to get him. I think they should have just stayed at five, taken a tackle, protect Trevor Lawrence because he was sacked a lot last year, and they lost one of their offensive guards. But yeah, they trade up. They get the two-way superstar, and it's not a bad pick. I mean, like I said, obviously I don't think there's a need. Hunter, great player. He's a great wide receiver. He's probably maybe even a better corner, and he proved he was capable of doing both sides of the ball in college. Now the question is, can he do it in the NFL? Or will the team even let him?
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah.
have to
This
wait
is
and see.
right. Yeah, no, this is it's a big pick, and I think yeah, they have Jaguars have their hands full. I mean, are they going to be able to make a decision how they want him to play? Yeah, in my opinion, I think you need shutdown corner. You know, you need a cornerback to tie up the side of the field, and you know, it's reminiscence of like Charles Woodson back in the day. He was able to do wide receiver and cornerback as well, and the defense is, you know, like you're always going to hear, wins games and championships. So we'll see how they handle it. They got their hands full, and hopefully they don't mess it up.
Yeah, so obviously, so the Jaguars, you know, like they received the second overall pick. They got Travis Hunter. They received this year's fourth round pick from the Browns and a sixth round pick. The Browns received pick 5, which they used on defensive tackle Mason Graham. And they received this year's second round pick, number 36. They took running back Keyshawn Jenkins from Ohio State, and then they received the fourth round this year and the 2026 first round next year. So good value for the Browns. Obviously, Mason
Yeah,
Graham
they
still,
need it.
yeah, Mason Graham's a great player. Pair him up with Myles Garrett. But obviously, I don't know. At 2, I think you could have paired up Myles Garrett with who the Giants grabbed. You know, Giants also in need of a quarterback. They had signed the 2 veterans, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, but they go Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State, probably the no, not even not the best edge rusher of the class, probably the best defensive player of the draft as well, and possibly even arguably the best player in the draft. And he goes to the Giants to buff up that defensive line with Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, he was a talk of being a top pick as well. Right? He was was that Mike Vrabel? He's a defensive guy, and then they know what Carter brings to the table, and you know, just a menace out there. So he had talks about being one. So that's a good pick for the Giants too. Like you said, the Jaguars went. They're going all in there. They're hoping to get themselves a gem. They're feeling good about their picks, and the Giants got a good pick too in Carter. That, you know, that he dropped that, you know, a few down into their hands.
Yes. So yeah, the Giants, Brian Dable, Joe Schoen, they get the edge rusher from Penn State, and then the next pick, Mike Vrabel of the Patriots. I'm pretty sure he messed that up, but yeah,
Who is the
Mike Vrabel's
who
the
is
head
it?
coach of the Patriots.
Oh, is
Um,
he?
yeah, Brian Dable is the head coach of the Giants, but Mike Vrabel gets his young quarterback Drake May some help. They draft offensive tackle Will Campbell out of LSU. Campbell, I believe, played what? It was
What?
like
What?
900 plus pass blocking snaps allowed, maybe I think 2 sacks. And he said, and the kid said to himself, he would live and die protecting Drake May.
Yeah,
So
I heard that.
great pick for them. They were secure up their offensive line. That was a little questionable last year, and they get left tackle to protect Drake May's blind side, which is great for them. You know, you got a young quarterback, you got to protect him, you got to keep him healthy, you got to give him time to throw. And I think that was a great pick for the Patriots, and they, after spending a lot of money in the offseason on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, just to clarify, yeah, I don't know why I said Mike Vrabel. It's actually Brian Callahan's the head coach of the Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, okay. So I don't know why I said Mike Vrabel, but yeah, he's the pick, the coach of the Patriots. And yeah, that's a solid pick there. I like his words, his comments. He was, you know, showed some emotion and had some tears coming down when they interviewed him. Yeah, like you said he's going to die to protect the quarterback there, and it's what you want to hear, right? When you draft somebody like that who's going to be in the trenches and protecting your young quarterback. Yeah, it's something to be excited about. Yeah, I mean, I liked everything so far into the draft.
Yeah, you broke up a little bit on me right there. But yeah, and then we got to the 5th pick. The Browns take Mason Graham out of Michigan, defensive tackle. They pair him up with Myles Garrett. And the 6th pick, I want to say the most questionable pick. The Las Vegas Raiders had the 6th pick of the draft. Question is, were they going offensive tackle? Were they going running back? Were they going quarterback? Shedeur Sanders was there. Jack Stark was there at 6. Obviously, they got Geno Smith in the offseason, but they still need a quarterback of the future. But they go when they get Ashton Jeanty, running back from Boise State, the record breaker out of Boise State, to buff up that offense and pair him with Geno Smith. And as a Raiders fan, I'm pretty happy about that. You know,
Yeah.
especially, continue.
Oh yeah. No, I was just saying. Yeah, I was too. I mean, you have to. just the fact that they were last in the league in rushing. It fills a big void from Josh Jacobs leaving. A year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever it is. They just didn't have any running game, and he immediately changes that. Yeah, it's pretty exciting to finally get someone with that, and he was excited as well. If you saw him, he's dancing, he's playing to the crowd, and you get a player like that, it's like, okay, here we go. Put a little excitement to that dead offense that we had last year. So I think Matheson was our leading rusher last year, and he had 420 yards. So I expect GT to definitely have more than that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. When the Raiders had Josh Jacobs, they were one of the better rushing teams. Obviously, Josh Jacobs last year was phenomenal for the Packers, probably a top 5 running back. And the last year they struggled. They struggled bad. Offensive line, I mean, wasn't great rushing wise, but they weren't bad. But the running back, yeah, it was bad. Now the Raiders, they get G&T. He becomes the second highest paid running back in the league. Um, Behind Saquon Barkley. But yeah, big pick for the Raiders. He bolts up their offense with Geno Smith, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and it'll be good for Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll said he's my Marshawn Lynch, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, he's an old school coach, so he wants to bring it back to the old days, and we all know what Marshawn Lynch did. He just created earthquakes when he ran the ball, and Marshawn was beast mode in his own days, and I like some of the comparisons I've heard so far. One of them I heard was Alvin Kamara was one comparison. There was another one too. I don't know if you saw.
LaDainian Tomlinson was one of them as well.
Thomas, I didn't hear that one. I also heard Maurice Jones-Drew. I don't know if you remember
Maurice
him.
Jones-Drew. Yes,
that guy was
a comparison.
He was a wrecking ball in his day too. He was 5'7", 210, and he was just rolling over everybody. With the Jaguars back in the the 2000s or whatever it was. But yeah, no, excited about the pick. You got him. We got Geno Smith, Brock Bowers. It's you got some pieces together too.
Yes, you do. And then we're moving on to the 7th pick. Jets take offensive tackle Armand Membo out of Missouri. They shore up the offensive line. Rodgers last year, obviously not with the team this year, but he was the offensive line wasn't great last year for them. They get a tackle. They shore up that line. And then for the 8th pick, the Panthers get Bryce Young some help. They draft Tedero McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. And that's huge for them. Adam Thielen, the slot guy, has been huge for Bryce Young. Obviously, Bryce Young struggled to start the season last year, but at the end of the season, he really picked it up, started finding his own way, and got himself back that QB1 position. And now they get him some help. They get him a big body receiver, 6'4", arguably one of the best receivers in the class, but was thought to believe to go top 5, ends up going at 8. And then at pick number 9, with the Raiders not drafting Shedeur, Saints dealing with some Derek Carr injury issues with their shoulder, their name popped up for Shedeur, but they go offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. They shore up that offensive line, and which is good for them because they've drafted good offensive linemen in the past. Obviously, you don't keep guys forever, and they've lost a couple, so they replace.
Did you see the video when he got drafted? It was hilarious. I saw it on Instagram today.
The baby?
The baby threw up. Because as soon as they said New Orleans Saints, the baby threw up. He said, "Oh no, where are we going?"
Yeah,
I just couldn't stop laughing. It was busting me up all day.
Yeah, I seen a lot of memes about that already, about the baby throwing up.
Get ready, kid. You're gonna get sick.
And then the Bears, obviously, I saw a lot of Bears fans hoping G&T would fall. They were hoping a couple other guys would fall, but they ended up going with Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan. They pair him with Cole Kmet and Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. So yeah, Bears looking up to be better on the offensive side. Niners take Michael Williams, which for me was kind of a head scratcher when Jalen Walker was available. Michael Williams, also, he's a great player, but I saw a stat earlier today saying he, out of all the edge rushers in the draft class, he had the least amount of snaps. And to me, that was, before I knew that, I didn't think it was a concern, but that's kind of concerning. That means he has the least amount of experience. And I thought Jalen Walker, who went pick 15 to the Falcons, I thought Jalen Walker was the better edge rusher. But the Niners go Micah Williams. The Cowboys get a guard and Tyler Booker. They keep shoring up that offensive line for Dak Prescott. Miami goes Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle. And for those wondering why we're not like going over each pick, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not the biggest college sports guy. Hopefully,
It's hard to follow all this stuff,
yeah.
you know. I mean, it's just hard to,
There's a lot of
unless you're
college
like,
football teams.
if you're like us, we're following certain teams, and it's hard to just know right off the bat. Like, we could have our opinion on a couple of these guys, but as far as every single one, and then Mikael Williams, I heard, I know you mentioned that he doesn't have a lot of snaps, but he's also, I believe he's like 20 years old, so he's really young.
He is really young. You're right. He is only 20 years old. He's
They
young.
feel he has a lot of just games in the future to improve on, and
he'll be going into the Robert Saleh defense, so he'll be going to a great coach and a great defense. So we'll see how he plays there. Another tight end goes off early. Pick 14, the Colts take Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. He was arguably the best tight end in the class, but he's the second tight end picked off the board. Cardinals go defensive tackle Walton Nolan. Bengals go edge Shamar Stewart, with the concerns that Trey Hendrickson might get traded, or they might have to end up releasing him. So we'll wait and see on that. But I've also heard that he is sort of a project pick. He only had 4.5 sacks, I believe, the whole season. Seattle goes Gray Zabel, guard at North Dakota State. That shores up their offensive line. They had some problems last year. Smith was getting sacked a lot, didn't have much time. Obviously, Smith's not with the team, but they signed Sam Darnold to the big 3-year deal, so they got to protect him now. And then the Bucks, they go with an interesting pick to me. They go Emeka Egbuka, obviously the great wide receiver out of Ohio State, but to me, wide receiver wasn't necessarily a need for them. They still have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and I know Mike Evans is aging, but he's still putting up 1,000 yards each year. But they get a wide receiver for the future, and they add to the offense that's already electric with Baker Mayfield and company. And then the Broncos, they add to defense. They go Jahdae Barron. Pittsburgh adds to their defense, Derek Harmon. Pittsburgh was another team. Right now, I believe their starting quarterback is Mason Rudolph, if I'm not wrong. They had a chance to get Shedeur. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Steelers were one of the top teams. In on Shedeur, like I said, their need for a quarterback made it. Yeah, right now the quarterbacks are Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. So many people who thought, hey, they might go Shedeur Sanders, but they don't. They take a defensive tackle. Chargers get Omarion Hampton, running back of North Carolina. Packers, who've had question for concern with wide receiver 1 in Green Bay, they go Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas. I've seen a lot of people hate on this pick, but to me, I kind of like it. They have a good defense. They have a good offense as well, but they needed to bolster up a little bit. Wide receiver was a position of need. I like the pick. I think Matthew Golden was great at Texas. I haven't watched a lot of him, but he's a great wide receiver. Vikings go Donovan Jackson, guard, and then it's right here. The Giants traded back into the first round with Houston, and they go and select Jackson Dart. Right here, I got the pick. The Giants receive the 25th pick. The Texans receive a second round pick this year, which they used on Jaden Higgins, and then third round pick for this year, but they traded the Raiders, and then next year third round pick. And with another chance to draft Shedeur, they pass up. They go the quarterback out of Mississippi. What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, they have who's the quarterback? Who's their starting quarterback right now?
It was said to Brian Dable came out and said after they drafted Dart that Russell Wilson will be the starting quarterback. They also have Jameis Winston on the roster and Tommy DeVito. So
they wanted to end up getting a young buck in there because those other two guys, they're ready to call it quits. But they're still putting up numbers. Russell Wilson's still winning games. Winston's uh, he's a good backup. Could be in one of those Progressive commercials. But yeah, it looks like they're getting they didn't want to leave out a quarterback of the future, and then there it is right there, number 25. Yeah, something like you said, I think there was another quarterback too drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders. So
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know. What do you think? Somebody sees something we don't. He didn't work out though, right?
He did not go to the combine. I believe he threw at his pro day. He didn't go to the combine, but there's a lot of concerns about his interviews. A lot of people, a lot of team, or a lot of organizations said his interviews were informal and that he was too high ahead of himself. But we don't know all the details. But that is what's that's what people mainly believe is the reason why he's fallen, is how poorly his interviews were and kind of wondering what he said in those interviews. So we don't know. But going on to pick 26, the Falcons trade back into the first round pick. They pick James Pierce Jr., another edge from Tennessee. They shore up the offensive line. They get 2 edge rushers in the draft. After that, I think the Ravens make maybe the steal of the draft. They take Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia. He'll be a day one starter next to Kyle Hamilton, and they will have probably one of the best safety duos in the league.
Wow.
And the Lions get Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State, which is good for them because they dealt with a lot of injuries in that defensive line last year, which led to their downfall. Another loss to the Commanders in the NFC division playoff game. Commanders go offensive tackle out of Oregon. They protect their second-year quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Bills take cornerback Maxwell Hairston. And I don't know if you saw this, but I saw this. Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback from Kentucky, before he was drafted, he was, every time a guy got up and walked to the stage after they got their name called.
That's him. Okay.
Yeah, he was there. He dapped him up and he gave him a hug, and he was a big fan for each of those guys.
Oh wow!
All the way up till he got his name picked. So I got to give a shout out there. That's just phenomenal sportsmanship right there.
I saw that, but I didn't know who he was and where he went in the draft. And now that you're bringing it up, I go, okay, I did see that. And yeah, I mean, that's just great. It's very supportive. And now his name was called. And yeah, but look at the team he's on. He's on a Super Bowl contending team every year as long as Josh Allen and those guys are together.
Yeah, and then a little trade at the end of the draft. I don't think this trade was necessarily needed, but the Chiefs and the Eagles swap picks. Eagles bolster up their defense. They get Jahad Campbell, linebacker at Alabama. He was projected to probably go top 15. Ends up falling to the Eagles. Howie Roseman does it again. Gets a great pick with Jahad Campbell. And the Chiefs get Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State, to protect Mahomes, because obviously we saw in the Super Bowl what the Eagles did to Mahomes. They just sacked him a whole bunch. And
yeah. I guess they just said, hey, what do you guys want to do? We don't really need anybody right now. Well, let's swap picks.
Yeah. And like you said, another quarterback was taken before Shedeur. At pick 40, the Saints, another team, the team that concerned with Derek Carr's injury, they go Tyler Show, the quarterback out of Louisville. They take him instead of Sanders. And a lot of people thought it was kind of head-scratching. He's a 25-year-old rookie. So that will be interesting for them. Another big name that's fallen due to injury, Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. He was one of the best corners in college, but was dealing with the injuries. He falls over to pick 47. As a Raider fan, I was hoping the Raiders were going to get him because they were at pick 40 after they traded back. But he goes to the Cardinals. The Raiders trade back even more. They go to pick, I believe it was 58. And they take wide receiver out of TCU, Jack Bech. And big body, 6'2", 215. Was at LSU for a couple years before transferring, had 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. And I think it's a good pick for the Raiders. Obviously, they still have Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers. They got Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, a lot of receiving threats, and they get a big body receiver. Not as big as DK Metcalf, but he's like I said, 6'2". He's pro ready. He's got sure hands, quick agility. He was the MVP of the Senior Bowl. So I don't know too much about this guy, but I learned a lot within the last hour since he was drafted.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure the first round ended with Philly taking Andrew Mukuba, the safety out of Texas. And right now the third round is currently in still in progress. We are at
Yes.
pick. Let's see what pick are we? We're at pick 90. Raiders are on the clock in eight, eight picks. They got back-to-back picks. But so far in the third round, let's see. Oh, the Raiders at pick 68. They take Darian Porter, cornerback out of Iowa State. He was a wide receiver turned corner. He's a big body, 6'3", ran a 4.3, 40. He's fast, long, typical Pete Carroll cornerback. Reminds him of Tariq Woolen that Carroll drafted in his last year with Seattle. So we will wait and see how the rest of the draft unfolds. Maybe by the end of the episode, maybe somehow Shedeur gets drafted. But
Cleveland's back up in a couple picks, right?
yeah,
Cleveland,
the
I
Saints
see.
and Cleveland. The Saints and
Oh, there
Cleveland.
you go. Yeah, the Saints
They're
and
back to
Cleveland.
back. Raiders have back to back picks. They could still go
We'll
Shedeur.
see.
We will
Yeah,
see.
I mean,
But
we'll see. We'll update everyone as we're going.
yes. So right now we'll take a pause. We might come back to the draft in a little bit. But right now we're gonna switch over to the NBA playoff games. Last episode, we talked about the first couple of games that have been played. Now we are finishing the last of the game twos. Cavaliers and Heat game two. Heat were there with the Cavs. It was a really close game all the way till the end of the quarter, and then the Cavs just pulled away a little bit with believe free throws. And then game two, probably the most physical series I have seen in the past. I don't know how many years of watching basketball. But Warriors and Rockets, this is like a boxing match. And uh, 8 minutes into the game, Jimmy Butler leaves with a pelvic contusion, and he was out for the rest of the game. I might pull up the clip in the after edit, but yeah, people believe Draymond shoved Amen, but there was no shove.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, it's hard to tell what exactly went on. I believe Draymond was just boxing out Amen. Podziemski was trying to pull down and box out Steven Adams. It looked like Steven Adams gave him a little bit of a push and he got his legs tangled. I don't think he necessarily had to fall forward
Mm-hmm.
towards Jimmy. I think he could have just fell down.
Yeah.
But
But
scary.
he's trying to make it look like he got pushed from the back, possibly to
Yeah.
get like a defense, like a
And
call
to be
against
honest,
him.
I mean, I think it's incidental. I mean, and you can say what you want. I mean, like I said, I think it was incidental, but part of me also thinks, I think he could have avoided that because Jimmy was high up in the air when he took him out. But the one thing I'm upset about with that play, they didn't even review it to see if there was a flagrant foul,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
astonishing. Because something when a superstar player leaves the game 8 minutes into the game on a play like that, I mean, to me, you gotta at least review it. It's the least you could do to at least say, okay, you know what, it was accidental contact. Let's move on. Or you could say, hey, we believe this was flagrant one, flagrant two esque foul. But no, they didn't review it, which upset me. Not just because I'm a Warriors fan, but because it was a dangerous play, and it happened the other
And
night too.
yeah, the
I'll
thing
get to
with
that.
that too. Oh yeah, yeah. No, the thing with that too is that Thompson has a bit of a rap sheet himself. I mean, he's
Yeah, only in his
thrown
second
Tyler Hero
year.
to the floor. Yeah,
He
he's
threw,
thrown
threw
Tyler Hero
Tyler
to the
Hero.
floor.
He choked Giannis on a
Giannis,
layup.
he choked Giannis, and me looking at that tape, he tripped over himself. He could have went down, but he's trying to make it look like he got pushed from behind. Hopefully, get a call. And uh, my favorite part of it. Well, it's not my favorite part, but as he lunges, he didn't have to lunge, like you said. He could have just fell down,
Could have
but
just fell.
he wanted to.
It's because another thing, if you look at it, he wasn't grabbing. He wasn't gonna get the rebound. Jimmy was up there, about to get the ball. There was no shot he was getting the rebound, and so that just infuriates
Yeah,
me. They gave an update today. His MRI came clean. It's just a really a deep bruise. He is
yeah,
questionable to play tomorrow, but yeah, I mean, like you said, it's only in year two. He does have a track record of. I mean, some of the stuff he's done so far is could be on Draymond level, and Draymond's been in the league what 13 years,
Yeah, this
longer
was
than that. I mean, yeah,
a lot of the stuff, like you said, is this physical game. Like I don't, if you've even seen, they keep telling it's '90s basketball.
yeah. It's all
There's
I
one
hear
time
is
I saw,
Van Gundy saying on the
yeah,
play-by-play. I just want to mute him because it's just like, hey, we know you keep saying this. We know it's
yeah,
the most physical series throughout the whole playoffs, and it will be the most physical series. There won't be another series like this,
yeah. And it's
just
like,
because the
did the rules change? Did the rules change for this series? I don't understand because those are obvious fouls.
oh wait, hold on. Let me pause right there.
Oh, is it
Uh,
happening?
well, no, Shador doesn't get drafted, but the Seahawks take Jalen Milroe, the quarterback out of Alabama, at pick 92.
Oh man,
So
this
that's
guy keeps
huge.
dropping and dropping, huh?
Yeah, to me, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, the Seahawks, like I said, they have Sam Darnold. They had his name's blank on me, the backup quarterback they traded for. But yeah, they have a young backup quarterback as well. And this pick surprised me, man. But they get a quarterback, I guess, after the 3 years of Sam Darnold, or maybe even sooner. They can move on to him.
Sam Howell,
Sam Howell, there we go. Sam Howell,
Sam,
there you
Drew
go, their
Lock. Is
backup.
Drew Lock another guy? I just did a quick
Yeah,
Google.
nah, I don't know if Drew Lock's on the team, but yeah.
Drew Lock, yeah.
So right there, Jalen Milroe is going to Seattle. He's taking his speed and his arm to
I
Washington.
just think a lot of these guys, these executives, these NFL teams, maybe Sanders is carrying too much baggage. You don't come with a posse already. You haven't played one NFL down. Don't come already with an attitude. And yeah, maybe your interviews came off wrong, and that's the feeling that a lot of these teams had was, wow, you're going to be a handful. Maybe your dad gets in the mix too. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably like a gamble, and obviously third round, and we're on the 29th pick. Maybe a lot of these teams feel the same, and we'll see where he gets drafted. It's still going. How many quarterbacks is that? 4 quarterbacks in, and he's still not picked. So
Is it 4? Yeah. Right now, the Saints pick is in. The Browns on the clock. We're getting close to the Vegas pick. But okay, we'll go back to the Warriors game. But yeah,
oh
like
yeah,
it's physical. I mean, Curry, like I said, and I'm not saying this because I'm just a Warriors fan. There's no bias here. My dad told me I kept saying the word biasy in the previous episode, so
yeah.
I'm no bias here.
Well,
But
the thing is like the rules have changed since that, right? The '90s. Okay, this is not the '90s. This is not. They didn't change any rules. Like I was saying, it's kind of like those are all fouls. That's all fouls.
they
There's the
are,
forearm, the Jalen Green forearm to the face. That's a foul. Okay, I know it
yeah,
was called a foul, correct? But
yeah. They
that's like
called it a flagrant one,
technical
and you
type
could,
stuff. That's
yeah.
review it and hey, kick him
But
out of the game.
I mean, yeah. But the biggest issue is Steph Curry is arguably one of the best basketball players of all time, right? We talked about this in like episode
Yeah.
like 8. But he's probably one of the most, if not the most entertaining basketball player in the world. I mean, we saw it on when we all watched him in the Olympics. I mean, people want to see him play basketball, but when he's getting held and hugged and pulled, you're not really seeing him play basketball. It's like
It's not basketball. It's
I
not
want to
basketball.
see him knock down these big threes, get these crazy layups. I don't. To be honest, I don't want to see him at the free throw line. I want to see him making shots. But I mean, these guys gotta let him play. They're just tugging on him, they're shoving him, and it's unbelievable. I feel like every time he shoots a three, these guys are up on him, and it's just no foul. And it's just
It's
like, man,
it's a street ball. Right now, it's street ball.
yeah,
We'll see how maybe the series changes as it goes to the Chase Center. But right now, currently, it's street ball. These guys are just, holding, scratching, crawling. They're doing everything. They're punching, kicking. Yeah, Dylan Brooks kicking out and then,
yeah, and
wrapping
grabbing it,
around
yeah,
Curry to bring him down, trying to injure him. I mean, it's just you. I mean, you could totally tell, especially when we have replay. We could look closely, and the other games. I'm watching the other game. They're not like this. They're
and
officiated differently. So for some reason, they got
yeah.
the okay to rough up the Warriors, and they're going back and forth. I realize that, but
And
um,
I'm all for, letting the guys play it out, but to a certain extent. When these guys, I
yeah,
mean,
oh
they
yeah,
were saying, I saw a clip of like Jalen Defense was Jalen Green was clamping down Curry. But if you looked at the clip, he was swiping at his arms the whole time, and eventually got his arm good enough where he lost the dribble. And it's like, okay, that's not defense. He's smacking his arms. But I mean, everything that could have gone wrong for the Warriors went wrong in this game. I mean, Podziemski was dealing with illness before the game. He only played 14 minutes. He didn't put up a single stat. Like I said, Jimmy Butler left the game 8 minutes in. Um, and they had an unlucky shooting night. I don't have the full up stats up, but watching the game, it felt like they had like 8 threes at least rim right out. Moses Moody had probably had like four. Oh, and look at here right now. Okay, sorry. I know we're switching off back and forth,
Is it?
but
No, no. Go
no,
ahead. Go
not it
ahead.
hasn't happened. But the Saints didn't. They passed on Shadur, and the Browns pick Dylan
Yeah.
Gabriel, the quarterback, out of Oregon, and Shadur keeps getting passed. But we'll come back right to the NBA. But yeah, Jonathan Kuminga gets in this game, puts up 11 points in 26 minutes. Quentin Post had himself a decent game. He had 12 points, 25. But the Warriors just couldn't get anything going. I mean, when it felt like they had a run, the Rockets just answered. I mean, Jalen Green probably had this best game, probably honestly the year. He
Yeah.
had 38. Tari Eason probably had the
He
best game
wasn't just.
of his season as well. He had 14 off the bench, and then Alfred
Yeah.
Sengun had 17. Dylan Brooks had 60. I mean, yeah, it was just it was I mean, dominance
I
from
think,
the
Jalen Green.
Rockets.
I think he's Sengun's the All Star, obviously, but Jalen Green's the guy right there. If he's on, then yeah, I think the Rockets are gonna win the game. It's obviously 38 points. He wasn't missing anything. There was that one time in the game where they were exchanging threes, and that was something good to watch. That was actually basketball being played.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was the other than that, the Warriors they stuck around.
yeah, they stuck
Time
around.
where
They
they
were
couldn't get.
down
Yeah,
by like 15 most of the game. They made it close to like 9 at one
yeah,
point. But yeah, Curry finished with 20 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. But yeah, just no help anywhere else. Like I said, Pajemski didn't play. Jimmy didn't play. Gary Payne dealt with a little bit of injury. He's also questionable. Game 2. Um, but yeah, even at
he
the end of
got
the
pushed
game,
as well early.
yeah,
He got pushed early in
yeah,
the
he got
game.
pushed early, and they didn't call a foul on that. Pat
Right.
Spencer, he got 11 points off the bench. He got shoved by Amen Thompson again. I know there's a clip of Pat Spencer kind of like going for a rebound and shoving Amen underneath the rim, but then Amen comes back, I believe, in the next play and just throws an elbow right at him. So I mean, like I said, it's just not basketball. But yeah, so the Rockets beat the Warriors 109-94. They tied the series, and what a lot of people said was a must-win game for them. So they tie it up. And then let us see. Yesterday, um, Knicks Pistons down at the wire. They ended up winning. I believe. Yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns big game, 31 points. Jalen Brunson 30 points. Mikal Bridges 20 points. OG Anunoby 22. I mean, they have a great starting lineup. Bench is a little short. They only played 4 guys off the bench. And then for the Pistons, Tim Hardaway Jr. was great for them. He had 24 off the bench. Or no, I think he started. He had 24. Cade had 24. Dennis Schroeder had 18. Malik Beasley had 12. But there's not enough production from Tobias Harris and Oscar Thompson. Jalen Duren had a good game. He had 16 points. But yeah, just not enough. The Knicks win 118 and 116. They lead 2-1 in the series. And then yesterday, another scary fall. John Morant was going up fast break. They were up in this game at the time, going up for a layup. Lou Dort trips or he like loses his balance and falls into Jaw midair. Jaw falls, hits the ground, and he's out for the game. And he's also ruled out for Game 4. And that just looks like they are going to get swept.
Yeah, that seems like it's it, right? I mean, that's your main guy. Is out for Game 4, and you're down 3-0. I mean, it's all. But I think we talked about it earlier. How it's just too much thunder. For the Grizzlies, and they made it in at the last seed, and I think their season's over. So they can regroup, find a
Yeah.
coach, get healthy, and see what happens.
And then the final game yesterday, Clippers, Nuggets, and it was straight dominance from the Clippers. Jokic put up a triple-double like he normally does, but he only had 23 points. Jamal Murray had 23 points. Only 9 points from Christian Braun, only 7 points from Michael Porter. Aaron Gordon had 15. Nothing from their bench at all. Russell Westbrook only played 9 minutes, which is confusing because he's put up like 14 points in the past 2 games. And then for the Clippers, I mean, Kawhi Leonard 21, Norman Powell 20, Zubac 19, Harden 20, and yeah, just dominant. They dominated. I mean, Jokic was upset on the sideline. Bad loss for the Nuggets. Obviously, this is the 4-5 seed. It's probably the most even matchup of the playoffs. But yeah,
Yeah.
bad. I mean, if the Clippers continue to dominate, this will end in 5.
Yeah, I expect the Nuggets to rebound there. I think we talked about this series. Yeah, it's one of the better matchups. I think they're going to go back and forth, take it to 7 kind of thing. And I expect the Nuggets to bounce back. They're just too experienced. They're too good.
But they have that
Um,
rookie head coach. They have that interim
you
head
got that
coach.
rookie head coach, and that veteran coaches are going to school the rookie coaches in the NBA. So we'll see how that goes. But and tonight they had some. I don't know if you have the scores for tonight's game. Looks like Magic.
Yeah, Magic won
They
their
held
game.
on. I should say they were about. It seemed like they were about to give that one up, but they held on.
Yeah, no, they did. Jason Tatum played in this game. He didn't play last game, and they ended up coming out with the win. But the Magic came out, and they won this game. Tatum at 36, Derek White at 16, Jalen Brown at 19, Peyton Pritchard only at 3, which is probably why they Magic won. Bankera at 29, Franz Wagner at 32. After that, I don't know how they ended up winning. I mean, they played a lot of
Yeah,
guys.
right. I saw the
They,
stats too on that. I said,
yeah,
after Franz and Bancaria, I was like, how did you guys pull this out? There's no one else
yeah.
there that looks like they
Low
could
scoring
carry.
game at 95-93, but they hold on. They win the game in Orlando. They make the series 2-1. Um, which is big. I mean, Magic, they're a young team as well. They got some injured guys. I know Mo Wagner got injured at the beginning of the year, and he's out for the rest of the year. But maybe they can make the series interesting. We'll have to wait and see what Game 4 brings. And then Bucks Pacers were up 2-0 in the series. Bucks came back and they won with dominance. They win this game 117-101. Good game for Pascal Siakam at 28, Aaron Nesmith at 18, Tyrese Halliburton, the overrated player that you mentioned last episode. He only
Yeah.
had 14.
Inconsistent.
Yeah. And for the Bucks, big
What
game.
was that thing? Overrated. Most
Yeah.
overrated by his
I mean,
peers.
big game from Giannis and Gary
Yeah.
Trent. Gary Trent at 37, Giannis at 37, Kuzma at 9, Brook Lopez at 0, but he only played 15 minutes. Damian Lillard only had 7, Bobby Portis 10, and AJ Green 12. But yeah, Bucks get a must-win game
Yeah. That was
in
huge.
Milwaukee. They go down the series 2-1, and then right now, Lakers T-Wolves are playing. There's 2 minutes left in the second quarter. It is 50-47, and then tomorrow we have Cavs Heat in Game 3, Thunder's Grizzlies in Game 4, Nuggets Clippers in Game 4, then Warriors Rockets in Game 3 at Chase Center. Um, but yeah, so that's up for the NBA playoff. I will
Still no draft Sanders here. Still no Shadur
yes,
Sanders not drafted
still
yet.
no Patriots. No, they take a center. Um, maybe we'll wait and see what the Raiders do with their 2 picks. The third round's about to end. The only team I could see taking Shadur is our Las Vegas Raiders. And they got back-to-back picks at pick 98 and 94 and 99. So we will wait and see. But
Of course, they have so many positions they need to fill. They need more defense, right?
yeah, I
Um,
mean they could go defense and Sanders. They go Sanders defense. They got back-to-back picks that they don't got to worry about
oh,
someone
exactly.
taking someone. But while we wait on that, oh, and if we went on that, I'll go over some MLB standings.
Yeah, go ahead.
The normal Yankees lead the American League East only by a game.
What
Um,
was that? What was that?
the
Say it
Yankees
again.
lead the American League
Okay.
East. They are 15-11. Red Sox are right behind them at 14-13. The Blue Jays aren't too far at 13-13. Tigers lead the American League Central at 15-10. Guardians are right behind them, 1.5 games at 14-10. And the Mariners are in the Rangers, I believe, are tied for the AL West. They are both 14-11, but it's close. Astros are 13-12, and then both the A's and the Angels are 12-13. So that is a close division. And the NL Mets have a decent lead so far. They're 18-8. They got about 5.5 games ahead of the Phillies. Cubs lead the NL Central. They're 17-10. They've been one of the hottest teams in baseball. They won a series from both the Padres and the Dodgers. And the Padres are right now currently leading the NL West. They're 17-8. But right behind them are the Giants, which are 17-9, and the Dodgers, who are 16-9, and the Diamondbacks, who are 14-11. So still lots of baseball left, but a lot of good teams will be left out of the
Yeah, so far
playoffs.
that National League West looks pretty competitive, right? I mean, you got the Padres, Giants, and
Yeah,
Dodgers right there, fighting
top.
it out. And for me, now watching a lot of baseball, yeah, I'm a little surprised the Padres are up top. I think maybe they're healthy now. I know they have some.
No, they are
Uh,
not. They are not fully
they're
healthy. They
still
are
not healthy.
missing their
Mm.
star center fielder Jackson Merrill. They're missing their second baseman Jake Cronenworth.
They're still
Um,
holding it down, huh?
they're missing some depth pieces. They're missing you, Darvish, and the pitching staff. So yeah, they're not fully healthy, but
Mm.
their superstar Fernando Tatis Jr. has been carrying them for the past couple of weeks. But they should get Merrill back within a week or so, and they need to because their depth is not holding it down too much. But yeah, that's it for baseball. On the draft, Raiders on the clock. Houston Texans just took Jalen Smith, cornerback at USC. Um,
Man, this is something else. Yeah, there's only a few more
yeah.
picks in the third round, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, I didn't know. Obviously, interviews are huge at the combine and stuff, but I didn't think, it'd take it down that much. I mean, what was his name? Laramie Tunzel back in 2015 something. He was supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
like a top 5 pick, and then a video of him. I believe he was like smoking or something. It dropped him down a couple of picks, but he was still in the first round. He was still like top 15. So I can't imagine. I mean, it must something bad must have went down in those interviews for Shedeur to fall all the way almost to the fourth round. I mean, think about the money lost there. Um,
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's exactly. It's just something that you start to wonder what went on. I mean, there'll probably be all kinds of articles out, right? Just
yeah,
coming out
I
shortly.
know.
Or
I know. Mel Kiper is losing his mind.
is he really?
Yeah, he's a big Shedeur guy. I know he's losing his mind. But I mean, yeah, think about it. I mean, you're being a top 10 pick. Top 10 picks make like 20 plus million, or they get that guaranteed in their contract. Now you go into the third round, you're gonna maybe make what, a million? I don't.
Well, yeah, I heard you say earlier about the Raiders pick already being the second highest
Yeah,
running back in the league.
Ashton,
I didn't know
Ashton
that. I was like,
Jeanty, he
wow, he's
gets.
already getting
Yeah, his contract. They have a
veteran
fourth.
money.
The first round picks, they get the 4-year contract with the 5th year option. Jeanty's is 38 million, but 35 of it is guaranteed.
Woo.
So he gets a good payday for the rookie out of Boise State. Big for Raider fans. Um,
Well, it's a position they needed. They would either have to draft it early or go out and sign a veteran somewhere, and then it's like I don't think Raider fans will be happy if they sign somebody who's. You had Josh Jacobs. Why don't you just sign him?
yeah, but the pick, Raiders' 98th pick is in. They're once again back on the clock because they made a couple trade backs. Um, and They made a couple trade backs with Miami and Houston. They got these 2 extra third round picks because they traded They used to have two third round picks, but they traded one to the Seahawks for Geno Smith. But they gained two more. They gained a couple fourth round picks. They lose a fifth round pick though. But yeah, the Raiders started off with 9 picks in the draft. It ended up with 11, and now we are just waiting to see who at least this first pick is. Because who knows? It could be Sanders. I mean, it's just crazy if he falls to the fourth round. I mean, I would like Sanders. I think he's a great quarterback. I watched him all year. Obviously, he's a big name. And obviously, when in the past season when the Raiders only had Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, I was watching Shedeur in hopes the Raiders could get him. And when we had the 6th pick, I was like, dang, there's a chance that we might not get him. But with the 98th pick, the Raiders take offensive tackle from Texas, Caleb Rogers. So no Shedeur yet. Like I said, the Raiders do have the 99th pick. Obviously, they have some holes to fill
It's happening
defensively.
right now. It's going to happen right now. I don't. I wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. I mean, who's the backup? Right? Is it still
It's
O'Connell?
O'Connell.
I
O'Connell.
mean,
And there was rumors the Raiders would trade Aiden O'Connell in the draft. It hasn't happened yet, so maybe who knows? Maybe they don't move on. But I mean, unless I mean, there's a couple good quarterbacks in next year's draft. There's Drew, Alar, obviously Arch Manning, but those guys are going to
Yeah,
be top 5 picks.
yeah.
And
The
if you're the
Raiders
Raiders,
hopefully,
Raiders are
yeah,
win now mode.
yeah.
Almost, you're not gonna want to be in the top 5 pick, especially you made the trade for Geno. You signed him to the extension. You extended Max Crosby. You're getting a healthy Christian Wilkins back. You're getting a healthy Malcolm Kuntz back. Um, yeah, they're in a win now mode, and I don't think they could afford to try to get a top 5 pick. I mean, obviously you could try to trade a lot of first round picks to get in there, but I mean, if Sanders is available, and obviously you don't have to waste a first round pick on him. I mean, you have a third round pick. You could draft him with. You might as well see what he's got because he's talented. I mean, he's got great accuracy. Obviously, he was sacked the most in college football. But last year, he didn't really have a run game to help him. Um, but yeah, he's very accurate. He can extend plays,
So
move his
you think it's
legs.
the you think it's the name like that's why he's getting so much attention? Is his dad is his
Yeah,
name? But he
yeah.
was
I mean,
productive in
he
Colorado, wasn't
was.
he?
And
Yeah.
people, were hating on him because they didn't win much games last year. Obviously, this year was much better. I believe they went 11. Was it 11-4? But they won games this past year, and people don't give them enough credit for it, obviously, because they're not in the greatest conference, but they did win some games. Let me see. I mean, they lost to BYU in the Alamo Bowl, but Shedeur didn't play. They beat Oklahoma State. They beat Utah. They lost to Kansas by 14. They beat Texas Tech. Um, they beat Colorado State. They beat North Dakota State. They beat Baylor. They lost to Kansas State by 3, and that they were a ranked team at the time. They beat Arizona. They beat Cincinnati. Like they beat Utah. I mean, they beat some pretty good teams. Um, but yeah, they didn't give Sanders much credit for winning those games. They just criticized him most of the year. They still criticize him over the offseason. But like I said, those interviews is what people are saying was the biggest reason that he's fallen um so much. But yeah, I'm just
Well,
trying to keep time.
these guys take tests. They go through interviews. They have a workout, which he did not do. Yeah, so these scouts they're just going off of here. They give their feedback to all the general managers and all the executives, and then they make their decision. Yeah, and who knows? He could very well be a steal of this draft. And okay, the pick's in.
Yeah, no, I got it right now. And before I announce the pick, Sanders does have ties to Tom Brady. Tom Brady's with the Raiders organization, but there must be some concerns for them not to pick him because right now they go with another offensive lineman. They select the offensive tackle Charles Grant. So the Raiders go back-to-back picks with offensive linemen to, you know, fill in some depth, make some competition there on the offensive lineman because there's also rumors that they might trade their left tackle Colton Miller if they can't reach a contract extension. So we'll probably end up on the draft. I don't see the Niners drafting Shedeur, but who knows? Maybe the Niners do draft Shedeur. There's concern or there's questions on do they want to pay Brock Purdy or not. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see the Niners, Eagles, or Vikings picking Shedeur, and that ends day 2, right? I
Right.
believe day 2 is only the second and third round.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, that's just crazy
Three
how
rounds.
much he's
Yeah, three
fallen.
rounds down, no Shadur, and yeah, 3 picks left. I don't see them picking them either. And yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm sure this will be talked about heavily. Yeah.
Yeah, and then start the fourth round. I mean, the Titans already got their quarterback. Jacksonville's got their quarterback. Giants got their quarterback. And then the Patriots and Jaguars still have the quarterback. Raiders have the 6th pick into the fourth round. Maybe they take them right there in the fourth round. Um, but yeah, I mean, man, Saints drafted a quarterback. The only team I could think of getting drafting him is Miami. I think Miami could draft him. Maybe the Colts. Um, maybe a team like the Steelers could use him, and the Browns. But not many teams in need of a quarterback. But we will continue to play the waiting game with everyone else, and we'll wait and see who drafts Shedeur Sanders. And that will be all for today. Thank you all for tuning in. I'd like to thank my guest, my uncle. Thank you for joining me on today. It's been a pretty long episode, but there's a lot to cover and talk about. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube. Don't forget to turn on notifications. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. And until next time, stay ready.